Peace and blessings, family. It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Broadcasting Community. Shout out to the Louisiana All-American Sports Network. And shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. This is my full post-game reaction to Southern University's thrilling 25-23 overtime win over Bethune-Cookman. For a good portion of the game, it was a rough go for the Jags. But when it counted, Jalen Woods came in off the bench and, he played pretty good. And I think it's a strong possibility Southern University has found its starting quarterback. Because, truthfully speaking, the most inconsistent position that Southern has had all year offensively is the quarterback position. And, even Xavier ZT said tonight, he made some plays here and there, but far too often the offense just was inept and anemic when he was in the game. And when Jalen Woods came in the game, the offense just kind of went up to a whole nother level, went to a whole nother stratosphere, and they were able to do things. Now, in terms of a stat standpoint, before I get to the stats, in attendance there was 15,443 people in attendance. It definitely wasn't not even close to a full house. It did a lot of raining off and on in certain portions of the game, and people, when it started raining the first time, people started leaving. Then it rained again later on. People left. Then all throughout the third and fourth quarter, even in overtime, people was leaving. Now, from a stat standpoint, first starting was Southern. Xavier ZT set. He was 8 of 18 for 111 yards, 6.2 yards per pass average. Jalen Woods, the numbers don't indicate it, but in my opinion, he played much better than Xavier T. Set. He was 5 of 10 for 53 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The interception, too, I'm going to talk about that later on. From a rushing standpoint, Southern ran the ball very well tonight. Colby Dillon was 19. He had 19 carries for 130 yards. His long was 31 yards. Kendrick Grimes he had 15 carries for 90 yards and 1 touchdown. His long was 25. C.J. Russell had 5 carries for 17 yards, 1 touchdown. His long was 6. Zay he had 4 carries for 1 yard. And from a receiving standpoint, nothing of note. Khalil Harris, he had 1 catch for 40 yards. Chandler Whitfield had 2 catches for 29 yards and a touchdown. Jermaine Minor Jr., he had a couple of timely catches. He had 2 catches for 26 yards. Darren Morris had 2 catches for 22 yards. Kobe Brown, they really tried to get him the ball a lot during the course of the night. He had 3 catches for 21 yards. DeTravian Brown, another one, they tried to get him the ball too. He had 1 catch for 13 yards. Cam Jefferson had 1 catch for 9 yards. And Dupree Fuller, he had a timely catch. He had 1 catch for 4 yards. Now, Bethune-Cookman side of things, Cameron Ransom, he attempted 36 passes and he completed 23. So he was 23 of 36 for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. From a rushing standpoint, Dennis Palmer, he had 19 carries for 84 yards and 1 touchdown. And that's kind of really it from a receiving standpoint. Thomas Nance had 6 catches for 75 yards and 1 touchdown. Malik Huggins had six receptions for 46 yards. Marcus Velez had 3 catches for 32 yards. Justin Clark had 3 catches for 29 yards and 1 touchdown. Darnell Diaz had 1 catch for 21 yards. Javon Ross had 1 catch for 18 yards. Lorenzo Jenkins had 2 catches for 17 yards. And Walter Simmons had 1 catch for 5 yards. And, Southern defense struggled at certain points. I think it was more so because the offense was kind of inept at certain portions of the game. And then part of it was, at certain points they couldn't make plays. Part of it was the offense really just kind of left them on the field too long. Certain points of the game, they were able to get stops. Other points of the game, they really wasn't able to. So from a scoring summary standpoint, of course, Bethune-Cookman got on the board first with a field goal. Bethune-Cookman, they made a field goal. Their first field goal, the kicker, the ball hit the upright. And then the next one he made. Then at another point, they got down to the 1-yard line, and Southern kept them out the end zone. So, time of possession in the first half was greatly in favor of Bethune-Cookman. In the fourth quarter, Chandler Whitfield caught a 18-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Woods, which gave Southern a 7-3 lead. Johnston Clark had a 12-yard touchdown reception from Cameron Ransom. They went back up 10-7. Joshua Griffin tied it at 10-10 with 3 minutes and 13 seconds left in the fourth quarter. C.J. Russell had a 6-yard touchdown run. And then, of course, this was overtime. And then Dennis Palmer had a 25-yard touchdown run, 17-17. After the first overtime, you got to go for 2. Kendrick Grimes had a 25-yard touchdown run in overtime. Thomas Nance had a 13-yard pass from Cameron Ransom. Then, of course, after that point, after the second overtime, you put the ball on the 2-yard line, and whichever team scores and keeps the other team from scoring, that's who wins. And Southern ended up winning in 5 overtimes. Basically, to give you a recap of the game, Southern got the ball. Southern won the toss. And before I get into the logistics of the game itself, of course, it was a typical family-friendly environment at A.W. Mumford Stadium. People just some feel, but it was very cloudy. On some of the videos I'm going to upload during the course of the week, you could see that, it's definitely cloudy. There was a band from New Orleans. I can't remember the name of the band. And there was also a band from Port Arthur Independent School District. That was the 2 bands that performed tonight. Southern's band didn't perform for halftime. The 2 high school bands performed, one from Port Arthur, one from New Orleans. Extremely cloudy. Southern won the toss. They deferred to the second half. And for the most part, Bethune, they controlled time of possession in the first half. Bethune got the ball. They got a couple first downs. They ended up punting. Southern got the ball, got a first down. And then they ended up punting. At a certain point, I think in the first drive, Kendrick Grimes had a long run. But it was called back for holding on one of the wide receivers. I can't remember which one it was. And there's one thing I need to make transparent and crystal clear tonight. SWAC officials are trash. In fact, let me rewind it. To call SWAC officials trash is an understatement. They're more like toxic waste. In fact, that's probably too nice for these SWAC officials. I'm going to be truthful. I've been going to Southern University games for over 40 years at this point. And seems like after Southern won the first SWAC and Black National Championship under Pete Richardson, it seems like that next year, in 94, the officiating just went sideways, and it's just kind of been trash ever since about 94 at this point. The officiating is trash. And don't get me wrong, Southern University, they lack discipline. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Bethune-Cookman's offense was able to draw Southern's defense offsides 8 times tonight. I might be kind of stretching that number a little bit, but in many instances, it was 3rd and short, 3rd and 5, 3rd and whatever. And they were able to draw Southern University's defensive line off sides and just get a free play. And I'm like, bro, how could y'all keep making the same mistake over and over again? And it was the players over the ball, one play, he played good tonight, but like Willie Miles, like one play, he was right over the ball, and they went in the red zone. They was able to draw him all sides, get the first down, decline the all sides penalty. So Southern had a lot of penalties, a lot of stupid penalties, a lot of stupid mistakes, a lack of discipline. But the issue I had with the officiating is, in many instances, Bethune-Cookman would do something, and they wouldn't even call it. They could see it and not say anything. Southern on offense do the same thing, or Southern on defense do the same thing. They're throwing the flag and calling the penalty. It's like the officiating was just so super duper extra trash. It's like ridiculous. Come on, man. Like, y'all, there got to be some balance. I mean, from a coaching standpoint, you know, I've seen a game one way, and the opposing coach, I talked to the opposing coach like maybe the next week, and they have a different viewpoint. And, you know, I'll probably say the only game from a coaching standpoint, football or basketball, it was just one basketball game. Like, you know, a few years back, I was coaching, and basically, like, we were getting our head kicked in, but the other team was getting all the calls. And it kind of felt that way against Southern tonight, a good portion of the night. Don't get me wrong, Southern, they lack discipline as a team, but some of these calls, like these SWAC officials, man, they just trash. But anyway, getting back to the game, for the most part, Bethune, they drove the ball down the field first quarter, and they ended up settling for a field goal. The kick hit the upright, and they missed. And Southern got a first down. They ended up punting the ball back to Bethune. Bethune ended up driving it, and they ended up kicking the field goal. And for the most part, they pretty much just controlled time of possession all throughout the first half. Then there was a point where, you know, for the most part, Southern's offense was anemic. You know, Xavier, as AT said, he made some plays here and there. He was 8 of 18. But for the most part, far too often tonight, the offense just was not moving. And then Bethune-Cookman, they drove the ball to the 1 yard line. Southern's defense was able to hold them and keep them out the end zone. Huge stand. In the third quarter, I think Coach Terrence Graves and Mark Frederick, they had enough. ZT said the thing that really was the nail in the coffin for him, it was at a point where, you know, you down 3-0, you trailing. The defense pretty much lived on the field most of the game at this point. Southern went for, they were in the shotgun. They had a wide receiver coming in jet motion, and he was trying to give the ball to, I think, C.J. Russell, if I'm not mistaken, and he was going to fake it to him and give it to whatever wide receiver was coming in motion on the reverse. And he fumbled the ball, and instead of him diving on the ball, he just reached down and tried to pick the ball up. And the Bethune-Cookman, a few of the defenders just dove on the ball, and Bethune got the ball, and Southern still was able to keep him out the end zone. So at this point, they had enough. It don't indicate it on a stat sheet, but I'm not gonna lie. Once Jalen Woods came in the game, because a couple people in our section, we thought it was Noah, and I'm like, man, they put Noah back in the game, like after, but no, it wasn't Noah. Lady in front of me was like, no, that's not Noah, that's Jalen Woods, and it was Jalen Woods, and the people that have kind of been calling for him to be the starting quarterback, I'm not gonna lie, I gotta call a spade a spade. Y'all were right, because in terms of him going through the progression, he goes through his progression quickly. He makes quick decisions. He's very decisive. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly. Now, from an athletic standpoint, he's kind of on a lowest end in terms of running ability. But in terms of going through his progression quickly, getting rid of the ball, making the right read, making a good pass, Jalen Woods is the guy. I'm not even going to lie. I can't emphasize that enough. The stat sheets don't. The stat sheet does not indicate how much better our offense was under him. I mean, you got to realize he only played like what? He came in like at the end of the third quarter, and he played the full quarter, and he played in overtime. That was it. So he gets the ball. Southern goes straight down the field. They get to the 1 yard line, and this is where it was. It was fourth and goal from like the 1 inch line. So the the two previous plays, they just ran the ball. I think Kendrick Grimes or C.J. Russell, one or two, they drove over the pile, but the SWAC official said he didn't score. And then he got real close again, and they said he didn't score. So it was fourth and goal. They lined up in the I. They put Barry Remo. Again, he 5'9", like 165. He a good running back. But you really can't count on him blocking like that. I don't know why you wouldn't put somebody else in that position. So they tried to run a lead, and Kendrick Grimes quickly realized that he wasn't going to score. So he tried to bounce it outside. Bethune-Cookman stopped him. They drove the ball some, drew Southern offside some more, was able to drive the ball some, but they couldn't really do anything. Southern gets the ball. Jalen Woods leads him down the field, throws a touchdown to Chandler Whitfield. Southern is up 7-3. Bethune-Cookman answers immediately, and they go back up. Now they're up 10-7. Then, with 3 minutes left, Joshua Griffin, after Jalen Woods leading down the field, we figured that they wasn't going to go for it because what they did was they came out, tried to draw them off sides, nothing happened. So they ended up kicking the field goal, ended up being 10-10. And Southern's defense was able to make a stop. And Southern gets the ball back with like 1 minute and some change, like 1 minute and 40-some seconds left, something like that, something along those lines. And I'm not going to lie, Jalen Woods, he made, a couple good reads. This was like one of the bad throws he made during the course of the game. He only had, the time he played, he only had like 3 bad throws, but everything else was kind of pinpoint accurate. He faked the run. He pulled it, and I think it was Chandler Whitfield, if I'm not mistaken. He had the defensive back beat by like 10 yards, and he overthrew him by like 10 yards. That could have been the play that kind of ended the game in regulation. And it didn't happen. And then a couple plays later, it was 3rd long, and he threw the ball. I can't remember. I think he threw to Darren Mars, I think, if I'm not mistaken. This was the play that drove me crazy because earlier they had called a holding penalty, I think, on Rodney Johnson. And he called a pass interference later on it. But the Bethune-Cookman's defensive back was running out of the field with Darren Morris. He held him with one arm off. He held him off with one arm and intercepted the pass with the other arm. And they didn't throw the flag. They didn't call pass interference or anything. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're going to make the same call the other way, you got to make it both ways. So that was the issue I had with the officiating tonight. And, of course, Southern made a lot of stupid mistakes. They got 2, stupid, unsportsmanlike penalties. It was crazy. So after the interception, Southern was able to hold. They got the ball back with 20 seconds left. Bethune on defense. They had 2 timeouts. Southern was on the -3. They kneeled 3 times. They went in overtime. They got the ball, scored in overtime. Then Bethune scored. Then Bethune scored again. And they had to go for 2 after the first overtime. They didn't get it. And then Southern scored. They didn't get the 2-point conversion. Then after the second overtime, each team takes turns getting the ball to the 2-yard line. And there were a couple plays where I think he threw the ball to, I think C.J. Russell on the swing pass at the backfield for the 2-point conversion. And he was wide open. He dropped the pass. Then the next play, they called the same play, and he was wide open. Jalen Woods didn't even look in his direction. I think he threw the ball to, I think, Chandler Whitfield, and I think he threw it too hard. That was the only other bad pass that he made. They didn't convert. Bethune, they ended up getting sacked the next play. There were a couple plays in a row he hit receivers, Jalen Woods, and they dropped the pass, the 2-point conversion that would have ended the game. And then at the end, they ended up running the ball up the middle and scoring and hope. They held Bethune on defense the next play, and they ended the game. So they were able to, on their 2-point conversion, they ran it and they scored. And then on defense, they was able to keep Bethune-Cookman out the end zone. And that's how Southern ended up winning 25-23. It was an exciting game. But the issue I have, I think from an offensive standpoint, I think Jalen Woods, I think he's a starting quarterback at this point because offensively, Southern went to a whole different level. They were in a whole other stratosphere when he was at the helm at quarterback. So I think you find your starting quarterback. But I think the issue is defensively, Southern had 7 plays where it was 3rd and 5 or less, and Bethune-Cookman was able to draw them all sides and either just get the first down or because the quarterback, he was smart. And he knew when he drew him off sides, he could take a shot. And he was able to make them get bigger plays, and they were able to decline the penalty. So that's one thing they definitely need to clean up. There were a couple of instances where Southern had unsportsmanlike penalties. One player got ejected. Another time on, I think, a kick return, guy ran the ball out of bounds. And he clearly was out of bounds. The Southern defender hit him anyway and got another person to foul penalty, and that ended up moving them to, like, right at midfield. So the penalties, the sloppiness, this one thing you definitely need to clean up. But I think the offense struggling. I think if you put Jalen Woods if you make him your starting quarterback, I think he cleans up a lot of issues you have offensively in terms of just being inept and anemic offensively and not being able to move the ball. So at the end of the day, I'm glad they got a win. But, they could have played a lot better. But more than anything, I'm just happy to get the win. Like I said, after the night, I'll take 4 more wins. I don't care if you get them all by 1 point. Of course, I don't want it to be as close as it was tonight in terms of the scare. But as long as I get 4 more wins, I'm good. But that's it for this video. If you found any value in this video, please like the video, share the video, comment in the comment section, subscribe to the channel. Also, click the notification bell so you can be alerted anytime I post any new videos. Also, go check out my brother Jared Lovin Green tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Southern Baller Show. Also, go check out my brother Brent Fox on his channel. It's just me starring Brent Fox. And lastly, check out the leader of this phenomenal organization. 7A Sports TV has 2 channels. 7A Sports TV, which is primary channel, he has 94K subs on it. And check out his backup channel, LDBC General. We're trying to get that channel up to 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully you enjoyed my full post-game reaction. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening. Peace and blessings.